This is too fun for me not to share. Today, I could not stop giggling as I read this story. Apparently, and I will admit, I did not follow this little part of the story. And later in the program, we'll talk about how Trump's poll numbers are huge. We will talk about the question as to whether or not not only is Trump's numbers really big, but what is the really most interesting dynamic now is that the Trumpites, if you will, Ben Carson, Ted Cruz, Huckabee, like the people who are supposedly the embarrassments of the Republican Party. And now, frankly, I think they're all embarrassing. But I'm talking now from the mainstream perspective. The ones who could never win. And I go back to the book Stephen Sherrill and I wrote in 2006 now, which was the Republican Party, those on the margin are now taking over the Republican Party. And granted, there's been 2 presidential elections since then, but we are really seeing it come to fruition now. The Trumpite wing of the Republican Party, which is, I don't know if you can call it a wing. It's really like the fuselage of the Republican Party, is now polling better than the supposed establishment reasonable wing. And believe me, when guys like Lindsey Graham and Scott Walker are supposed to be your reasonable wing, you've got a problem.
I'm just so sad that I just have to say that we have to bomb Libya, Syria, Iraq, Iran, and I'll just throw Guatemala in there too. I don't hate Muslims. It's not all them, but I'm just so sad about it. And we got to defund Planned Parenthood, and we got to consider dropping a nuke on the Palestinian territories.
Yes, but what about the ground forces?
Oh, we need about 60,000 additional troops and a whole brigade and a division, all sorts of other fancy military men over there. And if you don't like that, I'm not your candidate. I learned all I need to know about them when I was running a pool hall back at my daddy's. Also, black people. Did I say that out loud?
Okay. So aside from all that,
Trump
is not just causing the Republican candidates to go down these wormholes they will never be able to escape. Rubio, Walker, publicly saying they don't believe there should be a rape exception to their abortion bans. It's obscene. It's obscene. They are calling for the forced pregnancy of rape victims. Now, that's going to be a real problem in the general election. They think it's their lifeline in the Republican primary, but that's going to be a real problem in the general election. When Scott Walker comes out and says, I have the same immigration policy as Donald Trump, that's going to be a real liability in the general election. This is just going to keep happening and happening. Okay? Aside from that, what we're also seeing Trump do is destroy the infrastructure in the Republican Party. Like Fox Trump is like basically taking this huge steel beam and just slamming it against the scaffolding of, it's still going to be there. It's just going to be this twisted mess. And now, after having sent, what's her name? Megyn Kelly? Is that her name? Megyn Kelly on an early vacation. Yeah, I've even already forgotten who she is. Donald Trump's feud with GOP pollster Frank Luntz escalated yesterday. Why did this happen? Well, Luntz, apparently at a Koch brothers retreat, said that Trump and Democratic presidential insurgent Bernie Sanders, they love to pair those two up, are delivering a big FU to the elites in America. Luntz said, but FU doesn't solve anything. FU doesn't make life any better. The idea of Frank Luntz complaining. No, the idea of Frank Luntz complaining about just rhetoric as opposed to policies is hilarious. F you makes you feel good, but it doesn't get you where you need to go, whatever that empty platitude means. Where you need to go, what the hell does that mean? F you doesn't make America strong. I think probably to the extent that any politician ever said it, it was because Frank Luntz focus tested it and found that, yeah, that works. Right. F you doesn't solve anything. Trump then responded to Politico. If I was Fox News President Roger Ailes, I'd fire that guy so fast for what he did, his head would spin. So people at the gathering, which was organized by the Koch brothers, said that Luntz argued that Trump is not a true conservative, but is addicted to the limelight and is likely to become increasingly enticed by the prospect of launching a third-party presidential bid the longer he stays in the race. First off, 75% of the people in the Republican race are almost without a doubt addicted to the limelight. Frank Luntz, no longer eating his penny vodka in his palatial abode, his spaghetti bolognese. It's come out of his little fox den. He's gone on lunch to say Trump has tapped into it, Bernie Sanders has tapped into it, and they're doing well, but they're tapping into fire. That's how hot the anger is. We're in a dangerous political environment that requires a higher standard for the candidates running. It requires them not just to stroke the anger, it's already there. It requires them to provide the balm of solutions. Let me tell you something. Frank Luntz is the pollster who developed the whole rhetorical side of what we know as the modern Republican Party. He was there for well, I can't even remember his name now, who ran last time.
Contract
Newt
of
Gingrich.
America.
Yes.
Yeah.
Newt Gingrich. Their whole revolution. Slashing Social Security. Taking food out of kids' mouths. Calling the Democratic Party Democrats. Because it sounds like rat at the end. That's the guy who developed it. And he's now complaining about it. He's now complaining about it. Luntz said, when he denied the allegation that he had been doing this, he said, you got to understand that I don't care who wins and loses. I only care that I'm accurate. This is a guy who was censured by his own polling association for being ethically challenged in the whole contract for America and fabricating numbers. Trump responded by branding the focus group that Luntz ran as a dumb panel and calling Luntz a low-class slob. Luntz is a clown. He's got absolutely no talent whatsoever. He came to my office looking for money. He wanted to represent me in a corporate capacity, which I had no interest in whatsoever. The last thing I need is focus groups from Frank Luntz who can't get himself arrested. When I had no interest in hiring him, he went on to do some negative focus groups on television. And frankly, he shouldn't be working for Fox because he's a total conflict of interest. Sorry.
It's true. It's all true.
It's all true. And then Luntz comes back with, this is not a game. It's not a joke. All these candidates have to take what they say seriously. Says the man who cared nothing but for messaging. Until he was sitting on his couch eating his spaghetti bolognese, trying, I think, to get into sports or Hollywood, and no one would hire him. And he obviously, on that trip, on that tour, stopped by Trump's office. Trump said no, and now Trump has him dead to rights. I'm sorry, folks. I know I shouldn't be enjoying this much, but I do.